Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating psychological phenomenon. It's a concept that perfectly explains a modern, everyday mystery, why the internet, and honestly the whole world around us, just seems so incredibly full of instant experts. We're going to break down exactly how our brains trick us into false certainty, and more importantly, how we can actually break free from it. Let's dive in.
So I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever been scrolling through your social feed, or maybe you're just sitting at a dinner party and you run into someone who knows almost nothing about a topic, yet they speak with absolute, unshakable certainty? We have all seen it, right? People online confidently explaining complex global economics after watching literally one short video, or dishing out intense medical advice after reading a single tweet. Or maybe they're claiming to be an elite investment guru because, well, they accidentally bought the right meme coin that one time. It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it?
But here is the bizarre, absolute paradox at the heart of all this behavior. The less they know, the more confident they seem. It totally defies logic. You'd naturally think that a lack of knowledge would make someone, hesitant or cautious, but the exact opposite happens. And understanding the mechanics behind this paradox, well, it's going to completely change how you view social media, politics, the financial markets, and, perhaps most uncomfortably of all, even yourself.
Psychologists actually have a formal name for this whole phenomenon. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Essentially, it's a cognitive bias where people with low ability or low knowledge significantly overestimate their own competence. And the flip side is just as interesting, honestly. Genuine experts often underestimate theirs. This right here is the actual documented science behind the incredibly confident amateur.
Okay, Section 1, The Science of Ignorance, the 1999 experiment. So back in 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger conducted a study on a university campus that pretty much shocked the scientific community. They tested people's actual abilities across a variety of skills, specifically looking at logic, grammar, and humor. Now, after taking the tests, the participants were asked a very simple question: how well do you think you performed? The researchers then compared those self-evaluations against their actual test scores. And the results? Absolutely staggering. The people who performed the absolute worst consistently rated themselves far above average. Meanwhile, many of the really high performers actually underestimated how well they did.
And this right here perfectly illustrates that massive gap between reality and perception. For the bottom performers, their actual score is incredibly low, but their perceived score is just towering over reality. I mean, they genuinely believed they were excelling, while in reality, they were actually failing.
So why does this actually happen? Well, the core logic is beautifully simple. If you don't know much, you also don't know how much you don't know. The skills required to perform well in a given area are the exact same skills needed to evaluate your own performance in that area. Think about it. If your grammar is terrible, you literally lack the knowledge of the rules of grammar required to realize your grammar is terrible. It's a psychological blind spot. And that is exactly where confidence becomes dangerous.
Moving on to Section 2, Climbing Mount Stupid, the Knowledge Journey. Psychologists informally call this very first stage the peak of Mount Stupid. Just imagine you decide to learn about artificial intelligence, or maybe stock market investing. You watch a few videos, read a couple of quick articles, and suddenly everything seems incredibly easy. You feel like you've got the whole system figured out. At day one, your confidence is sky high, but your actual knowledge is incredibly low. But then, if you keep going, reality arrives. You encounter complex problems, unexpected failures, conflicting information. Your confidence completely crashes. You've entered the valley of despair. Now, this is the critical moment where a lot of people just quit. But for those who push through and continue learning over the years, they slowly climb that long slope toward genuine expertise, which kind of leads us to a beautiful irony. As you reach that genuine expertise, you start to realize that real experts often sound way less certain. They use words like probably, or well, it depends. And this isn't because they know less than the person standing on the peak of Mount Stupid. It's because they deeply, truly understand the complexity of the subject. They can see all the moving parts.
Section 3. Modern Danger Zones, Social Media and Investing.
Now, our modern internet acts as a massive systemic amplifier for this exact bias. Think about these two types of creators for a second. First, you've got the cautious expert who says, based on available evidence, the situation is complicated and there are multiple factors involved. Then you have the viral amateur who says, I know the truth, everyone else is lying. In today's digital environment, which one of those statements gets more clicks, more likes, and more shares? Yeah, usually it's the second one. Social media algorithms are literally designed to reward certainty and bold claims, not nuance or accuracy. Confidence just gets attention. And because of this, the internet often mistakes confidence for competence. A person who spent 10 years studying a topic might sound super cautious, while a person who spent 10 minutes studying it sounds absolutely convinced. And humans are just naturally psychologically attracted to certainty, even when that certainty is entirely wrong. It makes our digital world a hyper-efficient misinformation machine.
Let's look at how this plays out in a really high-stakes scenario, like investing. A beginner enters the stock market during a bull run, when everything is just going up. They buy a few stocks, everything rises, and they make some easy money. Boom. They are immediately standing on the peak of Mount Stupid. Suddenly, they believe they have mastered investing. They start giving advice, predicting market movements, taking larger and larger risks. But then, the market inevitably changes. Losses begin. Reality delivers a very painful lesson. In fact, many of the most successful investors admit their biggest career mistakes happened exactly when their confidence exceeded their actual knowledge. The market is absolutely brutal at exposing false expertise.
Section 4. The Certainty Trap. The Mere Twist.
Now, this explainer isn't just about calling out other annoying people online. It's really about looking in the mirror. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. The Dunning-Kruger Effect affects all of us. Every single person has blind spots. We all have areas where we think we understand way more than we actually do. The real danger in life doesn't come from a lack of knowledge. The danger begins the exact moment we assume, I already know enough. Because the second you tell yourself that, learning stops entirely. Curiosity disappears, and your personal growth just ends.
So instead, we need to adopt a different mindset entirely. The smartest people aren't those who know everything. They're the ones who constantly question what they know. True intelligence is dynamic. It's not static. It requires an ongoing, honest dialogue with your own limitations.
Section 5. Escaping the Illusion. How to break free.
Okay, so how do we actually make sure we aren't stuck on the peak of Mount Stupid in our own lives? Well, we can actively fight back by following 3 clear steps. First up, seek feedback. Reality is often the best, albeit harshest, teacher. Test your ideas in the real world and actually listen to the results. Second, talk to dissenters. Don't just stay cozy in an echo chamber. Engage genuinely with people who disagree with you to find the holes in your logic. And third, cultivate deep curiosity. Make a conscious daily habit of replacing the phrase, I know, with the question, what am I missing? Ultimately, the more you learn about literally any subject, the more you will realize how vast and complicated it truly is. Feeling a sense of awe at how much you don't know, that isn't a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate sign of wisdom and growth. It proves you've survived the valley of despair and you're actually doing the hard work of learning.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you encounter someone who sounds absolutely certain, whether it's on social media, at work, or on the evening news, take a moment and ask yourself, are they truly knowledgeable, or are they just standing on the peak of Mount Stupid? And more importantly, as you go about your week, could that person sometimes be you? Understanding your own mind is the very first step toward mastering your life. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, guys. Keep questioning and keep learning.